Hey there. I know you're all about boosting productivity, so we're diving into something you specifically requested, time boxing. And don't worry, it's not about cramming your to-do list into a tiny box.
What's interesting is that our source material presents time boxing not as some new productivity hack, but as a way to understand how our brains work best, almost like a built-in productivity booster we can all tap into.
Okay, I like where this is going. It's like that aha moment, when you realize you've been doing something instinctively, and now there's actually a framework for it. So how does our source actually define this whole time boxing thing?
It's pretty straightforward. Think of it like setting a timer for your tasks.
So simple yet. Why does that feel kind of revolutionary?
Because that act of setting a timer, as simple as it sounds, has a huge psychological impact. Our source points out that it helps break down those daunting tasks that can feel totally overwhelming. You know, the ones you keep putting off.
Oh, yes. Those are the worst. Just the thought of starting them makes me want to take a nap. So by setting a timer, we're basically tricking our brains into thinking it's just for a little bit, which feels way more manageable than some open-ended commitment.
Exactly. And it's not just about tricking your brain into starting, it's about what happens once that timer is ticking. Suddenly, you're forced to focus on the task at hand.
It's like the timer creates this little bubble of focus, blocks out all those other distractions that are vying for your attention.
Exactly. And the source material highlights how this actually builds self-discipline over time. You're essentially training your brain to focus and resist those tempting distractions, kind of like building a mental muscle, right?
So it's not just about getting stuff done, it's about rewiring our brains for the better. I love that. But let's talk about the practical benefits here. What's in it for me? Why should I be excited about adding another tool to my productivity arsenal?
You're all about results. I get it. And our source doesn't disappoint. There are tons of benefits to time boxing. But for someone like you, always on the go, juggling a million things, I think 3 will really resonate.
Okay, hit me with your best shot. What are we talking?
First up, increased focus. Time boxing forces you to make a conscious decision about what you're working on during that specific time block. It's not competing with this mental whirlwind of other to-dos because you've already decided what's important right now.
Okay. I'm already seeing how that would be a game changer.
What else? Next is conquering procrastination. Remember that feeling of being just paralyzed by a task?
Oh, yeah.
The source material actually uses this really cool example. Even setting a timer for just 5 minutes can be enough to get you moving.
Oh, I love that. It's about breaking that initial inertia. 5 minutes, that's all it takes.
Exactly. It's much less intimidating than thinking you have to dedicate hours, right? And chances are, once you've started, you'll want to keep going.
It's that feeling of, well, I'm already here.
Precisely. And finally, perhaps the most obvious benefit, better time management. The source really emphasizes that time boxing empowers you to make conscious choices about how you spend your time. It's like taking back control of your day.
Instead of letting the day control you. Okay, I'm sold. Time boxing is officially on my to-do list. But how do I actually put this into practice?
Well, the good news is our source lays out a clear step-by-step process. That's surprisingly simple. No complex algorithms, no productivity hacks here.
Perfect, because my brain is already at max capacity. Walk me through it. What's step 1?
It all starts with identify your tasks. Sounds basic, but this is where you list out absolutely everything you need to get done. And I mean everything.
So it's full-on brain dump mode. No editing, no judging, just get it all out there, right?
Right. You got it. And the beauty of this is you can use whatever method works best for you. Whether it's a fancy digital app, a good old-fashioned notebook, or even sticky notes plastered all over your workspace, find what resonates with you and just go for it.
Okay. I'm already feeling more organized just thinking about it. So I've got my massive list of tasks. What's next?
Next comes estimate time. Now, this step tends to trip people up because we're notoriously bad at estimating how long things will actually take.
Oh, tell me about it. I am a chronic underestimator. If I think something will take an hour, it usually takes double that.
I hear you. And that's why our source recommends adding a buffer to your initial estimates. So if you think a task will take an hour, block out 75 minutes just in case.
I love that. It's like building a little cushion for unexpected delays or, life happening.
Exactly. It's all about setting yourself up for success.
Okay. So I've got my tasks. I've estimated and padded the time. What comes next in this magical time boxing journey?
Now comes the strategic part. Prioritization. We're talking about taking that massive to-do list and sorting it by importance and urgency.
Okay, so it's like what absolutely needs to get done first and what can maybe wait a little bit.
Exactly. And this is where you get to be really honest with yourself about your
This
priorities.
is where things get real, isn't it? No more procrastinating on those important but, like, not so urgent tasks.
You've hit the nail on the head. But once you've got your priorities straight, it's time for the fun part. Create a schedule. This is where you visually map out your time blocks, slotting those prioritized tasks into specific time slots in your day.
I'm picturing a digital calendar, color-coded to-do lists, the works. It's like creating a visual game plan from my day.
That's a great way to think about it. And here's where the source emphasizes flexibility. Time boxing isn't about locking yourself into this rigid, unbreakable schedule. Think of it more as a framework, a flexible structure that kind of guides you in managing your time more intentionally.
Right. Because life rarely goes according to plan. Sometimes you need that wiggle room to adjust. So we've identified, we've estimated, we've prioritized, and we've scheduled. What's the final step in this time boxing saga?
The most straightforward, yet often the most challenging step: focus and work. You've laid all the groundwork. Now it's time to show up for those time box sessions and try to minimize distractions as much as possible.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
Especially in our world of constant notifications and pings.
you're not wrong. The source suggests getting creative with your strategies for staying focused. Maybe it's noise-canceling headphones, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, or just finding a quiet workspace, whatever it takes to get in the zone and dedicate your full attention to the task at hand.
Okay, so I'm laser focused,
Yep.
working within my time box schedule. But then the timer goes off and I'm not done. Panic sets in. What do I do?
That's completely normal. And this is where the review and adjust phase comes in.
Yeah.
Time boxing is about learning and adapting. It's not about being a robot who sticks to a schedule no matter what.
So it's about progress, not perfection. I like it. Give yourself permission to not be perfect right away.
Exactly. Our source material highlights that time boxing isn't about finishing every single task within that allotted time. It's about making the most of the time that you have. If the timer goes off and you're not done, that's okay. You're still miles ahead of where you'd be without that time box in place. The key is to review how it went, identify what worked well, what didn't, and then, adjust your time boxing strategy accordingly.
It's all about fine-tuning to find that sweet spot that works best for your own individual work style and preferences.
Precisely. Shift your mindset from did I finish everything to did I make the most of the time I had? That's the heart of time boxing.
So to wrap things up, we've gone deep on time boxing, a surprisingly simple yet powerful concept. It's amazing how something as simple as setting a timer can have such a profound impact on productivity.
Absolutely. As you integrate time boxing into your routine, and I encourage you to experiment with it, consider this. What tweaks can you make to create a time boxing strategy that truly unlocks your productivity? This is your journey, and as our source material reminds us, personalization is key.
I love that challenge. Find what works for you and make it your own. Until next time, happy time boxing.